Hello, welcome to the weekend with me, Dawn Neesom. So, shall we lighten the mood a little bit now? It is indeed the weekend. It's a Saturday afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciating your company. And the name is indeed Neesom, Dawn Neesom. Yes, you know where we're going with this. I'm sorry, I don't write this script. But that is the only pun. Actually, I'm not going to promise that because anything's possible. If you haven't already guessed, it's James Bond Day. The first ever Bond epic, Dr. No, premiered in London 62 years ago today. It starred Sean Connery as the iconic secret agent and was based on the 1958 novel of the same name by Ian Fleming. The 5th of October now marks the annual celebration of cinema's most beloved MI6 agent. OK, I think we've got our guest ready to go. We don't have the same technology as Bond does, but the host of the Really 007 podcast, Matthew Pickup. Matthew, are you there for us?
I am indeed, I am indeed. Hello.
Excellent. Hello, Matthew. Thank you very much for joining us. Right, OK, Bond, one of the most iconic movie figures of all time. Why is it so important? Why is Bond so important to us?
I think across the world he's really important, but particularly here in Britain, he rings true with what it is to be a British person, and he has such elegance and you know, the films have been so popular and so exciting that they've captured the imagination of millions of people across the world. So I think he has a special place in so many people's hearts.
And yeah, I mean, it's been obviously 62 years since the first film, and we're all now still talking about who's going to be the next Bond. Or, by the way, who do you think should be the next Bond?
Who do I think? I would always say Henry Cavill, but I think Aaron Taylor-Johnson is the odds-on favourite at the moment.
Ah, yes, he's quite fit as well, isn't he? OK, so what I mean, it's sort of, you know, there is a slight backlash. It has to be said now that Bond is a bit misogynistic and a bit too sort of like not PC. What would you say to that argument, Matthew? Does he need to be woke?
Well, I would steer clear from saying you know, anything in terms of him being woke or not woke or anything like that. But obviously you have to bear in mind the audience that you're appealing to and what modern audiences might be used to and might be more keen on than previously. But you also have to stay true to a literary and film character that has been, you know, alive and in people's lives for so many years. So it's finding that right balance, I think.
And for you, I mean, obviously, you know, you do the podcast, you're an expert on this. Who do you think has been the best Bond? Oh, there you are. Right, sorry about that. We had a James Bond villain get into the system. I believe our Matthew Pickup is still with us. He's the author of the podcast, the Bond podcast. And it's 62 years since the first. Matthew, thankfully, you are still there. Matthew, I was just going to say to you, who is your iconic Bond?
Yeah, so I think each of them have brought something brilliant to the role, but I think you can't look past Sean Connery. He was so good in that role for the first few films, and without him, I don't think there would be a franchise that we're still talking about today. So he was perfect for the role and still is the one that everyone looks to. And
I'm going to ask you, don't have to say, but you can tell me quietly, who is your least favourite?
I've struggled a little bit with the more recent ones, with Daniel Craig's films and everything. But even he brought some great things to the role, and for many people, that, you know, for younger audiences in particular, he's their Bond. So I'm not going to diss him too much.
OK, brilliant. And if you were a Bond villain, I'm going to ask this question to our panel as well. What would your Bond villain name be?
That's a very interesting question. Let me think. Professor Kill, let's say something like that.
It says what it does on the tin, I guess.
Yeah, it does. Although there was a character called Mr. Kill in Die Another Day, so I might have to give this a rethink, I think.
Brilliant. Matthew, thank you very much for joining us, and we're sorry about the little Bond villain technical glitch we had there. Thank you very much for joining us. That's host of the Really 007 podcast. OK, I still have Cai Wilshaw and Mike Parry with me now. I'm going to ask the same question to you. OK, first of all, gentlemen, coming to you first, Mike. Who is your favourite Bond?
Well, I totally agree with our expert there that once Sean Connery had set the mould, it was very difficult to move on. But I think that Roger Moore played him a very close second. And the reason for that is that Roger Moore had a twinkle in his eye and he delivered the funny quips so eloquently. And You asked the question who was the worst. The worst, in my view, is Daniel Craig.
Oh.
Daniel Craig took it so seriously, it's almost as though he hated the image of Bond as a womaniser and a man who could deliver a funny quip and all that. Took it so damn seriously, but I don't blame Daniel Craig. The people who were producing the Bond films suddenly decided, we've got to get serious, we've got to get into the new world, and they were up against the Bourne films. And the Bourne films, if you remember, were brilliant. What was the name of the guy who played Bourne? Matthew something. You know his name,
yeah.
Matt somebody or something like that. But anyway, they took the whole world of espionage to a new level.
Matt Damon, was it?
Matt Damon, thank you very much. They took the whole world of espionage to a new level, and all of a sudden, Daniel Craig had to try and meet them. But Daniel Craig, to me, seemed to be a psychotic nutter who was, you know, battling with the role of being 007.
OK, right, and Kai, quickly, favourite Bond?
Look, I was born in 1994, so when I was 11, Daniel Craig was announced. And so I grew up with my dad, with my family.
You missed so much.
I knew you'd hate it. But look, what a few films he's had. And he wasn't the favourite at all. He's tried his best.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to know on Bond Day is, who the hell is next?
Well,
because I've been waiting and waiting.
I totally agree.
I have a lot of thoughts on some of the candidates, and I think it's about time that Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson gave us an answer.
I totally agree, and I think it should be James Norton. I think James Norton is such a great British actor, you know, a flashing smile, great British accent. To me, he would be the perfect replacement.
And played a villain in McMafia, which is one of his
McMafia, and also, do you remember him in Happy Valley when he was a thug?
I recently
binged
it,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.